Hey guys, T-Star here. So, in my last video, I discussed what I feel to be the 5 worst episodes in the entire series of Danny Phantom. Now it's time to discuss the best episodes of the show. And there's so many great episodes, I can't just do 5. So, how about 20? Some episodes were really close to making my top lists in all 3 seasons, so we can give them some love as well. And since I don't like long intros, let's just get right into it.
Number 20.
Starting off at number 20, weirdly enough, is episode 20, Control Freaks. I like the idea of an episode where we get a non-ghost villain that has a staff which can control ghosts to do his bidding, and Danny's under his control for most of the episode. I also like how Tucker and Sam have to save the day. It's a great idea with great execution, and it's a good way to end the glorious season 1.
Number 19.
Next up, we got Life Lessons. It's one of those great high school plots that intercepts with Danny's ghost enemies, this one being Skulker. The main plot of Danny and Valerie, who hated each other prior to this, being forced to work together on both the project and having to escape Skulker is great, while Danny learns Valerie's not as black and white as he thinks she is. The subplot's also really fun, with Tucker making a lot of money by being a daycare business for other teenagers, then ending up having to refund it all as his mom used all that flour to bake cookies. I love plots like this, and it easily earns a spot on my list.
Number 18.
Here's another great episode with a high school plot, Parental Bonding. This one introduces Paulina, who thinks she's stealing Danny from Sam by agreeing to go to the prom with him, but learns they aren't together, therefore confirming her shallowness. Sure, you can argue Sam just assumed she was bad, but maybe they had a bad interaction off screen or something. Also throw in the fact Paulina is wearing an amulet that turns her into a dragon when angered, so Danny has to keep her in a good mood at the prom, while also having to chaperone in his dad's body. There's a lot going on here, and it turns out to be a very enjoyable episode.
Number 17.
Don't worry, they're not all Season 1 episodes. Here's a Season 2 episode, Identity Crisis. I mainly put it on here because I like the comedy in this episode. I like how they try to stop Jack and Maddie from seeing two Dannys. I like how superhero Danny's ego is huge. And of course, Technus drawing a mustache and glasses on digital pictures of Paulina and Jack. I think the idea is very interesting too, where Danny just wants downtime, but he learns he does have a responsibility. It's a hilarious episode that earns a spot on this list.
Number 16.
Here's an interesting idea for an episode, Lucky in Love. Danny starts dating Paulina after she sees him transform. Although it was just Kitty overshadowing her, and she uses him to make Johnny jealous. So Danny has to get her to like Johnny again, so she'll stop taking advantage of him and won't end up revealing his secret. At first glance, it does sound kinda soap opera-ish, but it still has enough action and comedy, plus it feels like a teenager type of story, and that's what gives the show its charm.
Number 15.
Just like with Life Lessons, Micromanagement is another Danny teams up with character he normally doesn't like episode. But I really like the themes of this, which is why this is higher up on the list. I like how Danny doesn't care at first about the fitness test since he has superpowers, but has to rely on his natural abilities to get to where he needs to go. And Skulker is not using his natural abilities, but instead his mech suit. It's a very fun episode with great animation, great ideas, and attention to detail.
Number 14.
Hey look, a Season 3 episode made the list, Box Up Fury. This is a very fun episode where the Box Ghost is actually able to become a threat using a box, in this case, Pandora's. It's a great episode for his character, and it has a really funny ending of Pandora torturing him after he's defeated while she mood swings.
Number 13.
Hey look, a Season 2 episode that wrote a good dating story and wasn't just a boring soap opera like Double Cross My Heart. Flirting with Disaster is a way better episode because Valerie was already an occurring character, and she didn't like Danny before, but she starts liking him this season, and even starts dating him here. They have really good chemistry in this episode, and there's a lot of things going on. They actually talk with other people about the relationship. Valerie realizes her life is too dangerous and complex, and she doesn't want Danny to get hurt because of it. Danny also thinks he can never tell her he's Danny Phantom. Sure, Technus set him up, but it works really well here. It's because of this episode that I think Danny and Valerie would have been a way more interesting couple than him and Sam. All they mostly did was just hint at having feelings for each other. Here, Danny and Valerie actually talk and go out a lot. It makes a very unique episode.
Number 12.
Here comes our first special, not only to be in the show, but to make this list, and that's Rainstorm. I like the size of this episode and the stakes. I like how the $1 Million Ghost set up this episode. I like how Vlad is an anti-hero in this, and this also sets up secret weapons later on. It was set up from a previous episode and builds on a future one, while also being its own thing. I'm also glad the Fright Knight got a moment to shine since his solo appearance was one of the very few duds in Season 1. And of course, there's a theme of Danny unintentionally becoming like Vlad, and has to learn just because he can throw punches first and uses his powers to hurt Dash, doesn't mean he should.
Number 11.
Alas, the only episode in the entire show where the villain kind of wins in the end, Public Enemies. I love the idea of Walker aiming to turn the town Danny lives into his prison and making the town hate Danny Phantom, and actually succeeds in doing so, at least until Rainstorm. It's got a great plot, some great action, and some of the best animation in the whole show.
Number 10.
Coming into the halfway point, what better to put here than Kindred Spirits? It's got a great plot with Danny meeting his cousin Danielle, but she uses him at first since she thinks Vlad wants to stabilize her DNA, then learns later he was just using her. Danny learns to be more appreciative of his friends. Tucker and Sam sacrifice a lot to save him from Vlad, and we learn more about Vlad than ever before. This episode made me like Vlad even more. How he used his powers to overshadow cartoon Bill Gates and create Mastersoft in order to become the richest person on the planet. But no matter how rich and famous he becomes, Vlad will always be a Fruit Loop to me.
Number 9.
What do you get when you mix an idea of Danny learning to balance his studying and gaming life? You get Teacher of the Year, a brilliant episode with a great moral of taking life seriously, but you can still have fun doing so. Something like this definitely should have been a Technus episode, as it's video games involved, and it works great with the school part of the story. The writing is excellent, the action is amazing, Tucker and Sam also get to fight back as well. It's really funny with Technus constantly using outdated slang, and it has a great moral. Plus, Mr. Lancer being a big-time gamer in the end sells the idea wonderfully. It's not like he's one of those people who says playing video games is bad. He just also knows how to be responsible at the same time. I felt really bad leaving this episode off the top 5 for season 1, so consider this number 6 for that list.
Number 8.
Here's an episode that makes Jack Fenton look awesome, The $1 Million Ghost. Vlad has a great plot in this episode where he not only wants to steal the Fenton portal to get the skeleton key he gets eventually in Rainstorm, he also tries to make Danny lose respect for Jack. Then eventually, Vlad ends up losing to the last person on the planet he'd want to lose to. We also get some really funny parody characters, including the guys in white, who will return in later episodes. I love Jack Fenton as comic relief, but he's also someone you don't want to underestimate.
Number 7.
I'll be honest, one decently sized reason Secret Weapons is in the number 7 spot is because of the checkerboard joke. But it's not just that. Danny being shoved into the thermos 3 times is also really funny. Plus, the plot is great too, where Jazz wants to help Danny fight ghosts, but she's pretty bad at it, eventually making Danny snap at her. But she actually is able to help thwart Vlad's plan to make a super weapon after he stole Jack's battlesuit from Rainstorm. Glad she eventually does something right in assisting Danny, even if she does end up realizing ghost hunting isn't her thing.
Number 6.
So, I wasn't crazy about the Halloween-themed episode Danny Phantom had, but at least the Christmas episode was great. And no, I'm not going to rhyme this one. It has a great Scrooge-like story with Danny learning to appreciate the holiday, even if his Christmases growing up were constantly ruined by Jack and Maddie arguing about Santa's existence. The rhyming is a ton of fun, and we get to see most of Danny's enemies here, as they have a truce on Christmas. Although, I still find it weird that Walker only has 2 lines in Season 2, both in this episode, and all he says is, "It's a rule," and "orange." The Fright Before Christmas is easily one of the best Christmas specials out there.
Number 5.
So, I mostly liked the first 6 episodes of Danny Phantom, but the show got really good once Bitter Reunions came out. Vlad easily became my favorite villain in the show, and this was a great way to introduce his character. Sure, we learn more about him later on, but we mostly learn about him in this episode. This is definitely the episode that got me hooked on the show. And if I ever go to Lambeau Field, I will look for that Vlad brick. But since I don't live in Wisconsin, that probably won't happen anytime soon.
Number 4.
Talk about the ultimate earworm episode, Fanning the Flames. It's got a great plot. It's one of the few times Danny and Sam have shipping between them that actually works and isn't just hinting. It has tons of great comedy, like how Mr. Lancer is being really honest about just wanting a bonus if the kids do well on their test, and it has one heck of a musical number. Seriously, I will never get that song out of my head.
Number 3.
Gaining the bronze medal is My Brother's Keeper, and this might be one of, if not the smartest, episodes of the whole show. I love the themes of this episode. Like teenage insecurity, how Danny's constantly doubting himself, hating his sister who's just trying to help, the fear of growing up into something you won't like how Quan was told he'd become homeless. And it works great with the main plot, and Jazz finding out Danny's secret. It's a fantastic episode that deserves more attention.
Number 2.
Gaining the silver medal is Maternal Instinct. I love every second of this episode. I love the bonding between Danny and Maddie, along with Jazz and Jack. I love the dialogue, the evil plan Vlad has to kill Jack while Danny and Maddie aren't home, and also short out Danny's powers, so his ghost can destroy him. Plus, after how outmatched Danny was against Vlad in Bitter Reunions, it's awesome to see him being able to fight back and defeat Vlad on his own. It's a brilliant episode, and in my opinion, the best of the Vlad episodes.
Number 1.
Yeah, I'm not exactly standing out much from other best Danny Phantom episode lists by giving the ultimate enemy the gold medal, but it absolutely deserves it. I've said before that the time travel stuff in this episode isn't 100% flawless, but it's still really well written, and helps produce one heck of an episode. Everything else is pitch perfect. The theme of destroying your future, how cheating on a test can ruin your whole future, Dark Danny's design and voice, the music, the dialogue, the animation, everyone's roles in this. It's all amazing. This is most people's favorite episode in the whole show, and I am 100% in agreement with them. And those are my top 20 best Danny Phantom episodes. Leave a comment below telling me which episodes you like the best. And be sure to join me next time as I discuss if I think the show should make a return or not. Thank you for watching, and take care.